Mr. and Mrs. Zyrante. Shut! Oh, look at that. You can't. Even I'll wait for that. Put him down. Gently. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Zyrante, Mr. and Mrs. Mcloughlin Senior. Darling. Good afternoon, everyone. I should say good evening now, but those who don't know me, my name is Tom, and today it's both my privilege and honour to address you as one of Paddy's best men. As we know, Paddy isn't great at making decisions, hence two best men. You may hope that between the two of us we could come up with something at least slightly complimentary about our dear little friend. I'm relying on Crispin to find something there, as that after nearly 30 years of friendship, there's not a lot I can say about Daniel that's complimentary, repeatable, or nice. Before I get properly started though, ladies and gentlemen, can I please introduce to you the new Mr. and Mrs. Mcloughlin. A bit of housekeeping, if I may, hope you don't mind. Daniel has urged me to encourage you all to drink as much as possible during the speeches. After years of buying him drinks, night in, night out, week in, week out, and knowing the sort of individual that he is, i.e. the fact that he's tighter than a worm's belt, I'm sure you'll all agree it's nice to finally get one brought back. So, shall we all just pause for a second, sit back, relax, take a big gulp, and then we'll move on in a second. How's that? Cheers, buddy. Just drink Dinesh's drink there. Now, I'm used to speaking to several hundred people at once. Usually it's at 38,000 feet and with the benefit of a bulletproof door. Hopefully I won't need one today, but you never know. It's been a great pleasure returning the favour for Daniel as best man, and I'm very pleased to see that he's slightly less nervous this time. It's also refreshing to see he's actually written his own speech for once, and not just got his daddy to do it for him. Good speaker though. I thought it was important to put as much time into writing this speech as Daniel did into organising my stag do. It's been a very, very busy morning. My job is to talk about this great man, Daniel Bartholomew Mcloughlin, born 27th of July 1980. He's always taken great pleasure in the fact that he's a whole month older than me, and therefore was obviously, older, wiser, and more mature. The fact that he was 1 foot shorter than me for the most of our childhood meant that Daniel had to make up for his shortcomings in stature by developing in other areas. Yes, that's right. A very big mouth for a very little man. He's still smiling, I'm not saying that Daniel wasn't popular when we were growing up, quite the opposite. I mean, he must have been punched in the face nearly as many times as Hutch. It did take a few people, though, several years, to realise that Daniel's real name is actually Daniel. Several years to realise this, and let's face it, he's a fair few nicknames. Not all of them complimentary, but here we go. The dog. Pads. Tantastic Daniel. Shabby Nasser. Big Nuts. Judith Chalmers. It's a swear word here. Paddy the Bastard. Sorry. Gumbo. The Gimp. And finally the one we all know, and some love, Paddy.
Fat Paddy.
Shut up, Dinesh. Throughout school and growing up, Daniel set his sights on following in his father's footsteps. Some say he was destined to do so, given that at school he would often be found threatening to sue people. Whilst at home, Kevin's attempt to sue United Biscuits for the lack of Marmite on his Twiglets was clearly inspirational. Paddy's nickname followed him to university, where it evolved into Fat Paddy. And I say evolved, but Paddy had always been a little chubster. You may think that Paddy was bullied at university, but quite the opposite. People managed to see through his terrible Tourette's affliction, and indeed go on to decipher sentences from his obscenity-injected English vocab. He was on first-name terms with all the 24-hour pie shops in Jesmond. And he was even more popular in lectures, given the fact that Kevin's trainees were doing most, if not all, of Paddy's research for him. In fact, I gather Kevin's hard work got most of Newcastle University's 99 intake, law undergraduates, their 2 ones. And if you haven't met Dinesh is sat here.
Thanks, Kevin.
Now, some best men's speeches don't really talk about the groom, they slay them. When I was thinking about stories to tell today, there were many, many people who tried to corrupt me into lowering the tone. Not me, Paddy. I wouldn't do that to you. You know I'm made of stronger stuff than that. I'm not sure about Crispin, but definitely not me. I couldn't do that to my Paddy, I said. After all, he didn't embarrass me at my wedding, so I wouldn't do the same. So, I couldn't possibly tell you about the time Daniel decided to relieve himself in a showroom display toilet in B&Q. I couldn't mention the time he was found all alone on 20well Lane in Sheffield at 3 a.m, barking like a dog. Nor could I tell you about the unexplained incident where Paddy was found asleep, tube of deep heat muscle relaxant in hand, with trousers round ankles. Paddy, I'm no doctor, but maybe that's the cause of those big nuts, I'm not sure. I definitely couldn't tell you about the time he got knocked out at a wedding. I think, Paddy, you learned 2 valuable lessons that day. Just because you go to the gym doesn't mean you can A, start a fight with a bodybuilder, or B, start a fight with a bodybuilding policeman. You could look a bit worried when I say this one. I definitely couldn't tell you what really happened to his watch and wallet in Marbella. And to be honest, I can't remember what story he made up about that one, so... And I definitely couldn't tell you about the numerous times he's borrowed one of your suits, Kevin, ripped it, had it repaired at your expense, and returned it without you even knowing. And I don't know if this is a good time to check. Paddy, is that one of your suits today, or is that one of Kev's? Kev's, good. Do your worst. I didn't hear that. I could never tell you about his fortnightly trips to the beauticians, to have his waxing done, and a quick sunbed from the age of 16. Hence, fantastic tongue. Or about the time Daniel was found shouting, "We hate students," outside the Sheffield Students' Union. Only for me to remind him that he was in fact a second-year law student himself. All I can say is it was a very interesting evening after that, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really enjoyed it, Paddy. Thanks very much. Finally, I wouldn't know where to start about the numerous places he's fallen asleep. I'm not sure if he's ever fallen asleep on the job, but definitely in many toilets, restaurants, head against speakers in nightclubs, tubes, taxis. But my favourite is what happened at Chester Races. Bearing in mind Paddy was supposed to be getting me drunk and looking after me on this occasion. Oh no. To give him his credit though, you can always guarantee that wherever you leave a drunken Paddy, 3 hours later you will find a drunken Paddy. If anyone is interested, I have copies of the Racing Post from that day. Here's a close-up photo finish of the horses neck and neck as they cross the finishing line, a classic photo finish. Unfortunately, it also shows another nag. Yes, that's right. Paddy asleep, bent over the railings in the background. Sealed bids will begin at the end of the speeches for copies. I told him, Paddy, after all that, I said, there's no way, I'm not going to go embarrass you like that. As today is not about Daniel's previous strange behaviour. It is indeed about how fantastic it is to be here today, to witness the joining of two best friends in the union of marriage. Daniel has always been a caring friend, and I've always tried to return the favour the best way I can. He would often tell me how he hadn't left the office till 3, sometimes 4 a.m. the previous morning. The fact they'd fallen asleep at 5 p.m. is by the by. When I suggested asking for help to deal with his massive workload, he would tell me how solicitors never help each other, but instead we're always out to screw each other. and thank God they do. As we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't true, would we? It became clear though over time why young Daniel wanted to spend more time in the office, and I'm sure Crispin will talk about how our chubby-cheeked Romeo wooed his Persian princess into submission. Paddy, if you could just put your hand on top of Maryam's for a second. Done. That's the one and only time you'll ever have the upper hand on the new Mrs. Maryam, you look stunning today. I'm pleased you didn't heed to your nephew Josh's advice this week. I'm also even more grateful that there was no repeat of the Hugh Grant, Andy McDowell scenario event at the altar today. I'm sure you all agree that today has been amazing, far be it from being over, and I would like to congratulate all involved for their hard work and compliment them on a great result. As a free bonus for attending today, all you lucky people qualify for free future legal advice from the Mcloughlins. If you want to write down 077 382 95798, I repeat, 077 382 95798, any time of day, and I can't emphasise this enough, any time of day, you can guarantee a crack team of solicitors is waiting to take your call. I know what you're thinking though, you don't need legal advice, right? Well, all I can say is anyone that's ever been driven in a car by Daniel, you've clearly got a whiplash claim there. Maryam, you look amazing. Paddy is clearly a punch above his weight, as he admits. When we first met you, we all wondered, how's he done it? Nobody knows. We still don't know. Miracles happen, right? I still can't figure it out. The changes, though, you've made in Paddy are incredible. The regular beatings are clearly starting to yield good results.